What's good, folks? It's your boy Isaac, aka Polo, aka Young Polo, and this is gonna be another video called Polo Talk Sports, where it's gonna consist of your boy Polo talking sports. Now, when it comes to all things sports, I am an expert. Now, this video is gonna be my 2022 NFL Draft Overview Quarterback Edition. I'm gonna be giving my top 5 quarterbacks in order. This is the order that I believe these quarterbacks should be drafted, but also that I believe they'll be the most to least successful at the next level. Let's get right into it. Number one is a no-brainer. I got Kenny Pickett out of the University of Pittsburgh, 6'3", 220 pounds. He's a pocket passer with a little bit of athleticism. 5-year starter at the University of Pittsburgh. And the thing about 4 or 5-year starters is I believe they have the leadership intangibility, just because in college you have to prove yourself as the starter year in, year out. Whereas at the pro level, I feel like once you establish yourself as a starting quarterback, your organization will give you a window, however long that is, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever the case may be, to establish yourself and prove that you're still that guy. Whereas in college, you got transfers and you got kids coming in, graduating, going to your university every year that believe they should be the starter. Now, his numbers at the University of Pittsburgh were relatively pedestrian for the first couple of years. In 2021, he had his breakout season, 67.2 passing completion percentage, 4,319 yards, 42 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, which is a great ratio. 233 rushing yards with 5 rushing touchdowns, so a little bit of athletic ability there, but nothing screams dual threat. Obviously, we saw him take the University of Pittsburgh to their first ACC championship, if not their first in a while, one or the other. I forget which one it is, but my comp for him would be Justin Herbert-like pocket passer with the athletic ability to scramble and make plays with his legs, and my ideal landing spot for him would be to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So a little bit of a hometown hero theme, University of Pittsburgh to the Steelers, because they are looking for their next quarterback of the future. Now, next up, we got Matt Corral from the University of Ole Miss. Now, I don't think he's the second highest or first highest rated quarterback on anyone else's draft board, but I'm really high on this guy. He's 6'1", 205 pounds. I believe he's the best dual threat quarterback in this draft. 2019, there's not much there. 2020 and 2021, so 70.9, 71 completion percentage, 3,337 yards, 29 touchdowns to 14 interceptions, 506 rushing yards with 4 rushing touchdowns. In 2021, 67.9, so 68 completion percentage, 3,343 yards, 20 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. The thing that impresses me the most about this is that he cut down from 14 interceptions in 2020 to 5 in 2021. That's something I think teams should look at. It's very impressive. That means he learned from his mistakes. 633 rush yards and 11 rushing touchdowns in 2021. So, like I said before, he's a dual threat. The thing I like most about this guy is he's got a little bit of a Baker Mayfield type swag to him, confidence, borderline arrogance, pretty celebratory after first downs, things like that. My comp for him would be Kyler Murray, although I don't think he's as fast as Kyler Murray. He has better size, being 6'1", 205 pounds, so he'll hold up better against the rush and things like that, and getting sacked and taking hits. My ideal landing spot for him was the Giants, but I think the Giants might be sticking with Daniel Jones, and their draft picks are pretty high, so I don't know if he'll land there, but we'll see where he goes. Hopefully he gets an opportunity. Next up, we got Desmond Ridder out of the University of Cincinnati. Now, I don't see him very high on anyone's draft board, really, which I think is, I'm not sure why, because obviously he's a 4-year starter, and similar to Kenny Pickett, he had a breakout season in 2021 where I'm sure everyone saw. He took the University of Cincinnati to the college football playoffs, which is very impressive because it's not the Big 12, it's not the ACC, it's not the SEC, it's not the Pac-12 where they have the running backs, receivers, and O-linemen, all 4 or 5-star recruits, all trying to get to the next level. So the University of Cincinnati success this last season could almost be directly acquainted to his quarterback play. Obviously, good defense over there as well. 2021, 64.9 completion percentage, 3,300 yards, just about 30 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, another good ratio. My comp for him would be a little bit more mobile, Matt Ryan, and similar to this, my ideal landing spot for him would be to the Atlanta Falcons, where he could sit behind Matt Ryan for a year or two, although I do think as a 4-year starter, he will be ready at the next level, but sitting behind an established veteran like Matt Ryan couldn't hurt. Next up, we got Malik Willis, also a dual threat quarterback. University of Auburn in 2017 and 18, where he wasn't the starter, so there's not very many numbers to show for it. 2020 and 21, where he got to Liberty, 64.1 completion percentage, 2,250 yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and on the ground, 944 rushing yards, 14 rush touchdowns. So his overall production is very good. A little bit of a drop off in completion percentage in 2021, 61.1, 2,857 yards, 27 touchdowns, but 12 interceptions, and that ratio is not terrible, but it's obviously not the best. 878 rush yards to 13 rush touchdowns, which means he matched his production on the ground in 2020 and 2021. Like I said before, he's a dual threat. My comp for him would be Malik Cunningham because I do believe he has all the athletic ability in the world, but he can also make a lot of throws. His arm is nothing to sleep on. I think it's more far along than Lamar's arm when he was drafted, but I don't think he's not Lamar, but we'll see. I think he will have success, but I think he's a little bit of a project and will need 1 to 2 years to really realize his full potential of what he can be. And at the next level, my ideal landing spot for him would be to the Broncos or to the Redskins, anywhere that he can get an opportunity to either sit or be the day one started. They just need to get the right offensive coordinator and coach around him. Now, next up, I got Sam Howell. Now, I'm not too high on this guy, but his numbers are fairly impressive. But we did see a drop off in production in the passing game in this last year. He was the starter at the University of North Carolina for 2019 to 2021, where he did have a lot of talent at the running back position. And this kid Williams, that's on the Broncos now, and I think this other kid, his name is last name Carter, I believe. He's on the New York Jets now. And when they left for the draft in 2020, after that season, we saw the drop off in production in the passing game. And his numbers are relatively consistent aside from that. And his rushing numbers are pretty interesting, but I'll get into that. So 2019, 61.4 completion percentage, 3,641 yards, 38 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, which is great. 2020, 68.1 completion percentage, also a good number, 3,586 yards, 30 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, so a little bit less production in the passing game there, but still very impressive, 30 to 7. And this last year, 2021, which is what I'm talking about, 3,056 rush yards, 24 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. So we see the decrease in touchdowns from 2019 to 2021, 38 to 24, which is pretty significant. Interceptions, obviously, up to 9 from 7, which I don't make much of that. That's fairly similar. Now, in the rushing, in terms of his running game, in 2019 and 2020, his rushing was non-existent. He was 35 yards, 1 touchdown, 2019, 146 yards, 5 touchdowns in 2020. In 2021, 828 yards and 11 touchdowns on the ground, which is crazy. I don't know where that came from, but he does have a little bit of athletic ability, not a dual threat by any means, but I'd say a comp for him at the next level would be a Sam Darnold or a Mitchell Trubisky, something like that. And my ideal landing spot for him would be probably in the later second, third round, maybe even fourth, to the Minnesota Vikings or to the Lions would be ideal. So that concludes my 2022 NFL Draft overview.